Yoga, a little stretching.
You've been doing a little yoga, a little stretching?
Of course, brother. You know how that
doing,
goes.
Man, what's up? You trying to get fit?
You know, there's a certain age when you get to a certain point, you try to touch your toes and you can't. So you want to get back to that age where you could.
Man, I tell you what, I absolutely agree. The other day, it was like you putting your shoes on in the morning, right? You know, and it's like you used to be. It was like you just cross your leg, no big deal, man. Now it's like, dude, I need to start stretching, man. This is getting kind of painful.
You know, the remedy to that, man, you just get a 4-year-old kid to teach him how to tie your shoes, or you just get rid of laces altogether.
I don't want to get rid of laces. I like laces, man.
I know, man.
Me
Sometimes
and laces are
good.
like peas and carrots.
I know, you're looking pretty tight in those kicks right now.
Like that?
Yeah, they look great.
Those are my Johnston and these are a little road worn. I'm gonna replace these already. But yeah, man, Johnston and Murphy, baby. That's my little brand.
That's a good thing, brother. Good thing.
It is. So hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Big B Mortgage Podcast. Today in the chair, I'm sitting with my good friend and fellow mortgage cohort, Mr. Ricardo Torres from Willow Bend Mortgage. How you doing today, bro?
Man, I'm doing excellent. I'm extremely blessed to be sitting here with you, my friend.
Yes, you are.
Long time. It's a 100% a blessing.
Yeah, man. Nah, dude, you've been doing some good things out there on the street, man. I'm seeing the videos. I'm seeing a lot of the social media aspect. You're one of the few people, I think, at least in the McAllen area, that's really grabbed onto the full potential that is social media.
Oh, man, you know what? When you have 4.3 billion people sitting there on Facebook and you have users using Snapchat and all these other platforms that are out there, you got to go where your clients are. If your clients are on those platforms, you have to get there and talk to them.
Even on Snapchat?
Even on Snapchat, 10 seconds at a time.
You're incorporating Snapchat into your deal.
That's right.
Come on, man.
You get on there, it's like, hey, and it stops a few seconds, you just keep talking.
Really?
It's a great deal.
Because I see now the big thing seems to be Instagram stories or something like that. You know, and it's like a series of like little videos that people are doing. I haven't even done one of those. I'm barely getting to the point with Instagram where I can just consistently post.
Yeah, usually you want to post things that are they're good for you and feel good. A good buddy of mine always says you want to post unicorns and puppies everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's always good information when you put it out there.
I agree.
But you got to go where your clients are. And most of my referral partners that I work with, they're utilizing this tool. They're doing some great things.
Yeah. So what I like to do...
And that was a mic drop, ladies
That was
and
a
gentlemen.
total mic drop. That's it. Show's over, baby. It's over. We did it. You nailed it in 2 minutes and 58 seconds.
Hey, consider it done, man.
Boom. Let's go have a beer. But what I normally like to do on these episodes is obviously go back, right? I want to go back to literally your first sales job because I want to hear your story leading up to where you are now, right? And it could be as detailed or as, don't be too vague, right? Don't be like, I was born, I conquered, and then I rolled out.
But that's kind of how it happened, man. Come on.
Here we go,
dude.
I love the humility. Man, but like take me back. Like, so one of the questions I usually ask is, was mortgage lending your first sales job?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's usually what most people say. So tell me about that. What was your first sales job? What got you into sales that ultimately transitioned you into mortgage lending?
Well, I'll go back to the days when I was 14 and I went into a job. I needed a job because I wanted to buy a car.
You wanted to buy a car at 14?
Well, I figured I was going to turn 15, so I was going to start driving. And my parents just said, well, you know what? If you don't have money for a car, we're not getting you one.
Oh.
So I walked into Walmart and I said, can I get a job at the age of 14? At that time, they said no. So
yeah, a little thing with
I figured I had
labor.
to wait. Yeah, it was child labor laws and so forth. I mean, I was big enough to probably get the job. But I came back a few months later when I turned 15, and they gave me a job as a stock person. So I was out there pushing shopping carts outside of Walmart.
At 15?
At 15. And I became the best shopping cart pusher you ever knew.
Really?
There wasn't a single cart that would stay out there in the parking lot at all. Sometimes I go to Walmart nowadays, I'm like, these guys are lazy. They have a little robot that pushes carts for them.
Yes.
No, man. I was out there pushing like 100 carts, trying to get them in, all through the door. And I did that for probably like 4 months with Walmart. And then I said, wait a minute, I'm not making enough money. So what do I need to do?
There it was.
Yeah, it's because I needed to buy a car. I had that need. I had to get there. So pushing the carts wasn't cutting it. So I started talking to the people at Walmart, and I said, hey, is there something else I can do here
Right.
that can get me to the point where I can buy my car? And it so happened that they had an opening in electronics, so I went to electronics. And I started selling electronics and knew nothing about it. I was a kid. I knew about playing video games, things like that. Well, there was a little commission that you used to get when you sold things in electronics, and I found out which were the most expensive things to sell, and I said, I'll get more money if I sell those. So I started doing that. It was great.
At Walmart.
At Walmart.
Walmart had commission?
At that time point, they did have commission. They had a
Wow.
little bonus structure, but if you were the top salesperson in the department,
Okay.
you actually get a bonus structure on top of it.
Really?
So I said, man, I'm going to do this. So I started doing that. Did really well. Then I figured out Walmart doesn't pay that much at that time.
Nah.
Well, and of
All
course,
these epiphanies at 15?
man, I was ready to go. I was ready to go. You know, I'm a military brat. My father was always traveling all over the world.
Right.
I would live in different bases, and I'd always go and do what I needed to do, take care of stuff. You needed money, you gotta go work.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I went to work. So while I was there at Walmart, I found out I was still in high school, of course, and I was in the band geek. I played the saxophone.
My daughter's in band, so
Yes.
I love band geeks.
It's an awesome thing, man. What's your daughter play?
Clarinet.
Hey, woodwind. Love it. Piece
Yes.
of my heart, bro.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I learned the saxophone. I was playing, and I got a job, and I got a job offer from one of the band directors. He was working with a music store.
Okay.
He said, stop working at Walmart. Why don't you come work with me? I'll pay you more commission if you sell X things. I said, okay, I can sell instruments. So I started working in a music store. Started doing sales. I was selling instruments to band individuals. I went to actual clubs, outside of clubs, and I was selling equipment. I was selling crate amplifiers, guitars.
Really?
Yeah, I'd go in a van. I couldn't drive yet because I was still doing what I needed to do. I was
Right.
15, 16, still trying to raise money for my car. And I would have the guy take me over there, and we'd sit out front with a little table, and I start selling crate amplifiers, picks, all these different things that they needed for concerts. In San Antonio, there's always concerts somewhere.
Right.
So I was selling that stuff. Then I figured out, man, everybody at school needs band. They need reeds, instruments, they need strings, they need all that stuff. So I started talking to my boss, hey, let's do a band drive. Let's start taking our van and go to these schools and start doing contracts. Yeah, I was doing that. We started doing contracts.
Wow.
And it was good, man. Started doing sales, getting that going. Of course, I couldn't do band forever, man.
No.
And still wanted that car because I wanted a good car. You know, you didn't want to get just a $500.
You weren't just trying to get
No,
like
man. I was trying to get that nice, you know, the dream car that I wanted.
It had air conditioning.
It had air conditioning. The windows would roll up by a push of a button. I didn't want to work,
why
man.
are you reaching for the stars so young, man?
You know, man, I had high dreams, aspirations.
What kind of car was it?
Well, I ended up buying
Uh-huh.
a Chevy Corona.
Ooh.
Not a Corolla, a Corona.
A Corona.
And anybody knows about a Corona.
I have no clue what that is.
It looks, you know, it's a beer in Mexico, but
Well, we know what that
it's
is.
also a car.
I know very well about the beer in Mexico.
Well, man, I got that Corona. It was my first vehicle. Cost me $2,500.
Right.
I was able to raise between working at Walmart, because I was still doing the Walmart thing and the music store thing at the same time, because Walmart would give me only certain hours. They started cutting back hours. It was about the time when they said, well, we're not going to do too much. So I started putting money away. I bought that. It was my first car. Wasn't my dream car. My dream car, of course, was the Mustang, 1967, 1968. I wanted the nice one. I wanted the
Nice choice.
yeah. But then I was like, man, that's an expensive car. And the insurance on that was amazingly high.
Yeah.
My Corona, man, they didn't care about insurance on that thing. They were like, man, we don't even care if you get from point A to point B.
Are you sure you want to insure that?
Yeah, it was nuts, man. So I got that, and we were, I was going back and forth to work, and I was doing the music store thing. I was still working at Walmart. And I said, you know, I could do a little bit more of my time while I'm going to school. I started working at a pizza place.
So wait, 3 jobs and school?
3 jobs and school.
Okay.
Can you dig it?
Yeah, my mind's starting to swim a little bit. But
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff, right?
I'm keeping up.
Yeah, and then...
So you got out of band, obviously.
No, I was still in band. Still doing everything.
Still doing band.
Oh, yeah. Well, because see, Walmart only gave you every now and then hours. The music store, we only worked at certain times. And then after the music store closed, I worked at the pizza place.
Wow.
So I was always working, trying to get things going because I wanted to get my paycheck, man. I wanted to get that nice bank account. So after that first year of tax returns, and I had that $18,000 that I made that year.
Holla.
That was money.
Well, for 15, 16 years old.
That was great, right?
Yeah, man.
So I made 18 grand in 1 year. By the time, that was the highest once I got to the 17-year-old, was my senior year. And I said, man, that's some pretty good money. But then I found out that I like to talk and I like to play music.
Okay.
Yeah, so I became a DJ. It's kind of crazy.
Did you let go of any of the other jobs?
No, I was still working the other gigs.
Yeah,
I was still working the other gigs. I think they used to call me the Puerto Rican Jamaican back then.
The Puerto Rican Jamaican.
Yeah,
okay.
You remember in Living Color when the guy was like, how many jobs you have, man?
Oh,
I have 6 jobs, man.
Yes, I remember that.
That's an old reference, man. If you haven't seen Living Color, go back. Jamie Foxx debut. That's something to check out, man.
I remember that. Dude.
Yeah, so that was the deal. That was the joke, that
Right.
I had those many jobs. And I got kind of tired of doing so many jobs. I graduated from high school. I started going to college. Found out in college you don't have to actually show up to class.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so I could not show up and still be okay? Didn't work out too well.
No.
So I started working more. So I was like, man, what the heck do I do now? So I said, I got to do some adult things. So got to the point I was DJing for a little bit of time, got out of the DJ business, went to get a loan because I had some bills I wanted to take care of, and I wanted to start my credit and get things started. And I walked into Household Finance Corp. And the reason I walked in there, someone said, hey, man, I had a loan back in the day. It was my mom. My mom goes, son, I had a loan back in the day. It was the first company that gave me a loan. I'd like to go in there and talk to them. I think they'll help you out. I went in. I wore a suit. I actually put on a tie. I was told you had to do that, man. You had to wear a tie and everything, right?
Right.
So I'm all dressed up in a suit and tie, this little wet kid and didn't know anything. I go in, I apply for a loan. Well, sir, we can't give you a loan. And I was heartbroken.
Sure.
I was heartbroken. You know what they told me though? We can give you a career. Would you like to start working with us? They gave me my first entry into the mortgage business.
Really?
Yep. It was pretty weird because it was right before home equity rolled out in Texas.
Gotcha.
And they brought me in. They go, this is what we do. We do these personal loans up to $5,000 or $10,000, and someone come and sign on there and get it. And you get paid this amount of money for doing these type of loans. And once you get to this level, you get more money. And then they said, well, we also have these mortgage loans that nobody's doing these loans. They don't even want to touch them. It just doesn't work. And we're about to start home equity. It's a big thing. It's starting in Texas, and we don't have anybody that really knows anything about this. And they said, these small loans, you'll get about $100 each. Well, you doing these mortgage loans, you'll make $1,000. And I said, well, stop talking about the small loans. Let's talk about these mortgage deals.
Right.
So within 3 months of working, learning the system and so forth, I got 5 mortgage deals refinanced done under my belt.
Really?
Yeah, man, it was great. 16.5% with 5 points.
What?
Cha-ching!
Come on, man. Tell me you guys weren't offering 4.5.
Oh, what?
Huh?
4.5? Where'd that come from? My little guy, he's 5 years old. He's got a big thing right now. He's like, rates are going up. And I sit there and think about it. Rates aren't going up. Rates are still down.
Yeah.
Back then, it didn't matter what your credit score was. 16.5, 5 points. You shook my hand. You smiled because we helped you out. We gave you some needs and benefits.
Right.
And I learned back then when HFC gave me the best training for this business because they said, you're going to sell a benefit to a client. You're going to talk to them about what they need. You're going to find out their heartstrings about doing a deal. You're not going to sit there and ask them, well, what rate do you want? Because back then, it didn't matter.
Right.
That's all you got.
It wasn't even a conversation.
It wasn't a conversation.
There wasn't even really rate shopping either.
Yeah, and unfortunately, when you're in a type of market where that's all you have, that's what you sell, right?
Right.
And we helped a lot of people out. Now, granted, some people could have gotten better deals in other places, but I worked at that company and I sold what I sold. And you know what? Every customer that I sat down and talked to, I was bettering their situation.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that I learned. I learned 2 things when I got into the business with HFC. First, one loan doesn't make your career. And the second thing was always find a benefit. As long as you have that benefit for that client, you're ready to go. And that's what started my journey, man.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
So how old were you when you got the job with HFC?
21.
21 years old.
That's right.
Damn. Nice, dude.
So that if you calculate back, that means I've been in this business 20 years.
Wow. Yeah, I think you got 3 on me.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think I'm at 17, I think. I don't know, man. Like, you get to a point, mortgage years are like dog years at this point. I mean, let's just be honest, man. You get to a certain point, it's kind of like getting older in life. After a certain period, you just quit counting.
Oh, yeah.
I got people coming to me, hey, man, how long you been in the business? A long time, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you made it, like the way I look at it now is if you were originating prior to the crisis of 08, 09, you're a vet. Like, and I've talked and I've interviewed people who have been in it way longer and went through multiple recessions, and they talk about how this one was like so much worse than the others or whatever.
Well, that recession was crazy, man. I tell you, because there was one in 99, a little small one.
Right.
And then you had 08, 09. And guys that are still in this business from being back then, they're just using those 2 principles.
Yeah.
One loan doesn't make your career, and always find a benefit.
That's a good phrase, dude. I like that phrase.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal it.
Go for it, man. Take it. Use it.
One loan doesn't make your career. Because, and you've been in this business long enough, and you've been in management and everything else. What do you still run into people, and by people I mean loan officers, who go through the extreme peak and valleys?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah. They're on that roller coaster of life, man.
They're up here, way up here, and then all of a sudden they just plummet. And it's usually, they'll say, oh, well, it's because the apps weren't coming in. Well, yeah, it's usually because you stopped working.
Yep.
Right? You got so busy and you thought, okay, it's going to stay like this, and then day late, dollar short.
Oh man, they just stopped working on the activities that took them to the mesa up there. That took them to Everest. And once they got up there, they're like, man, we're going to coast. We're going to be all right. And then they get back down, and they're like, holy cow, I have to get back up there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of people in this business think that that's the way it is. That's the way it should be. No, man. No. Actually, the idea is you should be always working on your business, not in it. That is something that's really, and until I learned that phrase, until I learned how that worked, I personally was still on that roller coaster.
Yeah, but what's your definition of that? Because, let's see if they run parallel. Because I know what I see from my standpoint, managing multiple markets, right? What is your standpoint of working on it, not in it?
Well, the idea is that you get to a certain level, and if you're bringing in clientele and you're doing all this origination activity, and that activity is what brings the business in the door.
Yeah.
Why are you stopping doing that to go do other activities such as apply paperwork together, get things put structured and try to get them in the door and sit there and at a desk all day when you're more engineered to be out there talking and building business and building relationships? So when someone's sitting there working in the business, so I picked up all these loans, I'm working on all of them all at once, and I'm like, man, they all have to get done, they all have to close. Yeah. Yes, they have to get done.
Okay.
But one of the things that I learned is you do not have to be the person that does that job.
Amen.
That job can be actually outsourced.
And
you can find people
too.
and train, they can take over.
And the thing I love about that philosophy is, obviously not everyone's going to fall into that category, but that's something we're doing a lot of now, and for our performers, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Built the success team model. And it's not new to the industry by any stretch of the imagination. The first time I ever heard about it was several years ago from Todd Duncan, I believe it was. And it probably dates even further back than that. But I know, like, for us, I've got a guy right now in Austin who he's got his loan partner, and then he's got his LOA, and then he's got a processor. Right. Now, we do the centralized processing model, whatever, but he still ends up working with the same person over and over. But he's got his 2 other support staff, and his focus or his goal is, like, unless the world's on fire, don't fix it.
Right.
Right? Because you're always going to have the little hurdles and bumps and stuff that are going to pop up. But if you can train people to be able to handle that on your behalf with your confidence, then he gets to focus on just going out there and bringing in more food.
That's it.
That's his sole focus. Like, he even told me the other day, it was like, yeah, they're getting, my team's getting a little overwhelmed, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. And
it's
he's
true.
Still out there. And the funny thing about that is he'll tell you, I'm the most vanilla guy you'll ever meet when it comes to how I run my business. I have the same structure. I have the same schedule. I call the same amount of people. You know, even though the relationships may be different, he has his Monday mapped out, his Tuesdays mapped out, for lack of a better term.
Right.
He sticks to that daily discipline. Is that something that you're at a point at that you're doing, or is that something you're building to?
Oh man, you got to have a daily discipline. It's just what it is. On a Sunday night, I take a couple hours and I say I'm going to map out my week. I actually do a mapping of the whole week, the whole month, the whole year.
Whole year?
The whole year. I start off with my yearly goals and I say, what am I going to do?
Oh, okay.
And how do I break it down to my daily? No, you work it backwards.
Okay.
And I tell you, this is a philosophy that's been shared by a good brother of mine, Mr. Carl White. He's actually helps a lot of loan officers out there in the world. And this is not his idea, but he's actually helped a lot of people do things with this and showing them what needs to be done. And you take your yearly goals and you say, okay, what is going to take for me to get here? Not only you're saying what it's going to take for me to get there, you're going to say, well, what is it that I'm going to do with whatever it is? What's my ambition for this year?
Right.
Whether it's I want to spend a couple more times vacationing with my family, and I want to go pay off some debt. Say I have some bills I want to get rid of. And you say, this is the goal. Not just numbers goal, but personal, good, heartfelt goals that hold you accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take those goals and you work it backwards and say, okay, I need to close X amount of units.
Right.
And it could be whatever unit you're trying to get to. It doesn't have to be yours. Mine is personal. I know what I am trying to get to. And you say, well, in order to get there, what activities daily do I have to do to get to that level? Because if you go a whole month and you didn't do those activities in that month, that goal at the end of the year is not going to get hit.
Okay.
So you have to sit there and go, whoa, if I don't do these daily activities such as making my phone calls,
right,
talking to my referral partners, following up on clients, following up on deals, if you're not getting those daily activities out of the way, your closings aren't happening, so you're not hitting that end goal. All of a sudden a quarter goes by, or a week goes by, or 2 weeks go by, and you figure out, and you're like, well, I'm not going to make it to where I need to be.
Yeah.
And then you're on that roller coaster because you're not doing the activities to maintain, and you're not staying on that plateau, staying up there on the peak instead of going down to the valley.
Agreed.
It is a big deal, man. If
it's
you don't plan,
it's a huge deal. But if you don't plan,
you're done.
You're toast. But even more so, that adds to that is the procrastination.
Oh yeah.
The call reluctance, the fear, right? And that's something that, I've battled with it in the past. Many, many others have too. It's just getting people to push through and pick up the phone.
Pick up the phone or walk into an office or go talk to an agent.
Right.
And there's a thing that you sit there and you have to self-talk yourself sometimes and say, wait, what happens if I do this?
Yeah.
And then you have that little guy that pops up on your shoulder and says, oh, man, don't do that. Why do you want to do this? Man, nobody's doing that. Nobody's walking in and talking to people and just making those phone calls daily. That guy over there is just sitting there and working on his business and making sure the loans that he has on his plate are closing right on time. If you set the systems in place, your loans will always close as long as you're bringing in the business.
Right.
And another one I have to say, I have to borrow from my friend Carl White. He says sometimes you have to cash small checks to make big ones.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a loan officer or a person out there that doesn't have a company that's helping you, that gives you the team or helps you embrace what's there, sometimes it may mean you have to go into your commission and pay somebody to help you.
Right.
What does it cost you to not do it?
Well, and here's the thing, though. I think there's still a lot to be said for certain types of support roles for the loan officer to have a piece in that game, to have some skin in that game.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because, and it's not from a standpoint of, well, we just don't want to pay for it. But I've always found that things that I had to do on my own or pay for on my own meant much more to me than things that were just given to me. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and think about it. You got someone that's going to be working for you. And if they're doing the job, now don't hire people in there just to hire people. You want someone that's going to do the job and make sure they're doing it. But they're now relying on your production to feed their family.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you
and
have a
what
much
you're
greater
doing.
responsibility now.
Yeah, if you fail, you're not just failing for yourself. You're failing for your family. You're failing for that employee, that person that's doing their blood, sweat, and tears to help you get out there and get more business.
Well, where do you think the magic number is for people to start considering that? Because I mean, obviously, if you're closing 2 loans a month, you're good. Like you don't need a full-on staff.
Oh man, if you're closing 2 loans a month and you want to get yourself, and your admiration is to get yourself to 5 to 7, you need to start bringing somebody on board.
I don't know, Rick.
I'm telling you, man.
I don't know, man.
Because once you start bringing that extra person on board, that's an extra 5 deals on average.
Well, provided you're out there doing the things you need to be doing.
Right.
My argument to that is that if you're only closing 2 deals a month, chances are you ain't doing squat.
Well, and they may be in the wrong position. That person is closing 2 deals a month. That may be a person better for a loan partner or a loan officer assistant.
Yeah.
Because they're not engineered. They're not wired to go out there and get the business and get there. But they may be a great support role. I mean, average 2 loans a month. Let's say it's a $100,000 deal. Let's say your average commission is $2,000.
Yeah.
That's $4,000 a month. But if they're a good loan assistant, that's a good salary for a loan assistant in many places.
Sure.
And you can get them on there and say, hey, you're comfortable making that? But what if I can get you more duties and you don't have to worry about going and doing the things you don't like?
Right.
It's about getting the right pieces to the puzzle and getting the right team on the bus.
Well, I think it's also about, to get to that, I think you also really have to understand the psychology of the people you're dealing with, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that's like with us. I mean, we lean a lot on like DISC going forward. I mean, that's one of the things that I've been able to use. It's helped me avoid some potential misfires.
Absolutely.
But
I highly
also
recommend it.
Also has helped me find some diamonds in the rough too. You know what I mean? Because not every top producer in this industry started off as a rookie, right? And right now, while I'm not an advocate for going out and just hiring a bunch of people with zero experience, I think you always, from a management standpoint, have to be looking at where am I going to find the next great LO? Because let's face it, dude, we're an industry that there's only so many great LOs to choose from, right?
Absolutely.
And there's zero shortage of recruiters out there trying to beat people up and get them to go work for them and promising the freaking moon and stuff.
Hey, you and I both know we get calls daily, right?
Oh my God, dude! I used to be the guy making the damn calls, bro.
I know.
It was brutal, man.
Yep, I remember blocking your number a couple of times.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm off that list.
You are, my friend.
You know, I mean, that's the thing, though. And I don't fault the recruiters because they're just trying to feed their families too. It's just the industry as a whole it's carnivorous to a certain extent with the way the recruiting models are these days.
It's true. I mean, you're trying to build a business on seasoned loan officers and bringing them over to a platform and calling, and they're just calling and calling and calling. I can tell you, it's tough when you're talking to a lot of companies and everybody promises the world and everybody promises all X, Y, Z's, and at the end of the day, it's not always that way. You and I both can talk about that, right?
Sure.
It's never always the best, but it can be good. And when you're working with a company that embraces growth and embraces ideas and where you can go, hiring someone new, sometimes getting off the street, getting them to start as an LOA, maybe getting them into a position where later on they become a good loan officer, they may be wired to do that. Then there's those individuals that are wired just to stay where they are.
Well,
they're hardwired to go different ways.
Going back to something we were talking about a little earlier, having people in those support roles, I think, can potentially be, like that excellent training ground for the future of loan officers. You know, and for me, it's great because I've got a guy who came in, didn't know there was a T in the word mortgage, kind of a thing, like barely understood it, but he had a great markup, like as far as his profile was.
Right.
And he was a really smart guy. So partnered him with the right person. Long story short, this dude's working 13, 14 deals a month or something like that for that guy.
Awesome.
You know, another 15 or 16 in the pipeline at any given time. And he's doing a lot of stuff basically from a very early point. So now, if he ever graduates to being an LO, if he goes out on the street and he only closes 3 loans in a month, he's going to be bored out of his mind.
Absolutely. And he's going to sit there and go, hey, man, the litmus test is already done. I know where I need to be. Yeah. This has already been proven that I can do X. Right. And I've seen it from my mentor, the guy I've been working with. Right. And I've talked to people that can do things. And you know what? Speaking of that, mentors, man. Mentors are a great thing. I highly recommend it 100%. I know you got a great mentor. I got a couple great mentors in my life. Business mentors, and spiritual mentors too. I highly recommend it all the way around because they can actually, they've been there, they've been in the trenches and take you to the next level. They take you where you need to be. And that's what a lot of the guys coming in that are just learning this business. The unfortunate thing I see out there a lot was, like we talked about, and we're joking a little bit about rates. I see that being the main premise that everybody teaches everybody.
Yeah.
They forget about those benefits, the needs, and getting that heartstrings and getting people to move forward. Yeah, clients.
The client becomes a transaction, and that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, speaking of that, man, if you are a transaction-based person, you need to be in the relationship business.
Yeah.
Because every single client that you have has the potential of referring you 10 to 15 customers over the lifetime of that client.
Agreed.
It's just the truth.
Yeah, but what I'm kind of referring to into that are the people, and there's far fewer of them now in our industry than there were back in the Wild West days, right?
Yep.
Back in the 04s to like 07s, where everybody was jumping in, and you had a lot of activity that just was not based on what's best for the customer. It was moreover based on, okay, well, this will just get it done, or, oh, this is going to pay more.
Yeah, I remember those days, man. I was a rep for Long Beach, so you know how that goes. And you know what? You were a rep for Mila, so hey, man, the world was different.
The world was different, and we're not the devil.
Nope,
but
no, not at all. But I think you and I single-handedly crashed the mortgage business. No, I'm just joking.
That's it.
It wasn't us. It wasn't us.
We were the basis for the Big Short.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no,
not at all.
100 million years, bro.
Not at all.
But so what's on the horizon, man? What are you working on for 2018?
Man, 2018 is going to be a beautiful year.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, we're already, by the time this airs, we'll already be halfway through it.
I know, it's true. We'll be halfway through the year, but I mean, I'm telling you, so far this year has been a blessing. My team is rolling. We're doing what we need to do. We're moving transactions out the door.
Yeah.
We're getting referral partners to send business our way. Loving the service, loving the follow-up, loving the closings on time.
Right.
It's just a matter about communicate.
Yeah.
The bad part is sometimes we communicate a little too much.
In what way?
No, that's not bad. It's great because of the fact that we're able to go and make sure everybody in the transaction knows what's going on.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, and to the person who may or may not be listening to this who doesn't understand that statement, yeah, communication. I think communication and transparency are they run hand in hand, but they're different, right?
Yeah, they are.
I do believe you can over-communicate. I have had people say, dude, really? Like, okay, I get it. Like, we're on time. Like, we're good. You know what I mean? But I think more importantly, yes, you got to communicate. Communication is key. As long as you also maintain absolute transparency in it, though.
Yep.
The communication kind of just falls into play with that. Would you agree with that statement? Or?
Man, I agree 100%. You want to sit there and talk to people. You want to make sure you're transparent and you're getting your information the right way out.
Yeah.
Because if I'm communicating every day going, man, I don't know. It's going to be this, or this is going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen tomorrow. No, it's now going to happen tomorrow. That's not the right communication, man.
No.
You got to set proper expectations all the way around. You know, there are a lot of people out there that say, man, I'm going to get you done in 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Why
By
go
law,
out and say it?
You can't get it done in 4 days.
You can't do it. I'm sorry. No matter how much you promise it, you can't get it done. But you want to be, I guess, humble, but at the same time, truth. You have to be truthful, of course.
Sure.
But you want to just make sure you're transparent. You get those things, get that information out there.
You also hit it, though. I mean, with the transparency comes the humility.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not humble in this industry, you're toast. You're toast, man. I don't care how smart you are. I don't care how great you are. I don't care how many years you've been number one. The second you start thinking that the people sending you business need you more than you need them, just, dude, plan your retirement.
Yeah. I mean, we're in a service industry, boys and girls. I mean, that's what it is.
Right.
We serve.
So speaking of that, you've been doing a lot. Speaking of serving, you've been doing a lot with the veterans down here, man. How's that going?
Man, I'm loving the veterans, man. Down here, we have a great group of veterans in the RGV. Texas is awesome. It's an awesome state for vets. And I think veterans in general are underserved.
Absolutely.
I'm part of 2 boards with the coalition here in Hidalgo County, and I'm also part of the coalition in Cameron County in our area, all the RGV. And we talk about all benefits that are out there and what benefits veterans need.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing how many things vets don't know.
Yeah.
Just about their standard benefits, just about what they're entitled to and what they're not entitled to. And I'm a big advocate of talking about the VA home loan because veterans don't know that the VA home loan is something that is a benefit they can use. They think they have to hold it for that one great house. No, I can't use my VA benefits because I'm going to wait for that big house I'm going to buy 4 years or 40 years down the road.
Right.
And it's education. It's a big education piece that is missing. And I think a lot of loan officers out there just don't understand how that works. Just today I was talking to an agent, and she's like, well, you can't do more than 4% closing costs on a VA loan. Like, yes, you can. VA has a different definition of what it calls closing costs.
Right.
Certain closing costs are what they call the non-allowables. The other part of it are not considered closing costs by VA standards. Mm-hmm. Veterans can actually get all their closing costs paid on a home loan if it's structured properly.
If it's keynote, if it's structured properly.
And a person has to know what's there. And most veterans usually get money back at closing. I know that your company does that, right?
Yes.
Big on that.
Big on that. We love our vets. I mean, we even go as far as we basically waive our fees.
It's an idea of taking care of those who've served for us.
Absolutely. Well, and here's one. I'll go one step further. And again, I'm not selling my company, but I recently partnered with a lady out in Corpus Christi.
All right.
Okay. She's kind of building the flag for us. Well, unbeknownst to me, I've gotten to know her and her husband really well, obviously. Her husband's a veteran, and through an unfortunate event with a friend of theirs that I won't go into, they became very passionate and compelled, if you will, that they started their own foundation. So they started their own 501c3 called Rockport Warriors United, and
beautiful, man.
They are, what they're doing is they have this beautiful, huge house. And so it's kind of like a destination spot that they've had because, cost of living down here is so sexy, right? I mean, let's just be real.
It's true.
I mean, you can get a lot for your money down here. And so they've got like this huge property, beautiful house. So what they're doing is they're opening the house up to the veterans. So veterans are going to be able to go. They're going to be able to, horseback ride, whatever, like just decompress.
Nice. You
know what I mean? But the point I'm making with it, it's, not to sell the Corpus lady, which is why I'm not saying her name, but they are so passionate about it. And for me, the more and more that I see what's going on and I see how much and how underserved, just like you said.
It's true.
I don't care if you work for this company and I work for that company. At the end of the day, if we're both focused on taking care and loving and valuing people, we're both going to be successful.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And whoever your competition is out there that's just treating things like a transaction, they're gonna fall by the wayside, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really tough, man. I tell you, because you sit there and it breaks my heart because sometimes I'll sit down in front of a veteran and we'll have conversations that they've bought 3 or 4 homes in their lifetime, and they're on their 4th one, and they're finally going to use their VA benefits, and they purchased homes where they had mortgage insurance, and they had extra costs and all these other things, and it just breaks my heart that someone wasn't educated enough to say, you should do the VA loan. You should do this program. And there's a lot of misconceptions. I was in a realtor class recently where they were giving some misinformation about veterans, about how VA loans work. So it's just about getting and disseminating the right things out there.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do it, and VA is great, but I can tell you, most veterans know that information doesn't flow down.
Sure.
They're not good at getting that information out. It's when you have like the coalition that's here going out and talking about what their benefits and how things are. That's why I'm passionate about being a part of it. When I'm doing things with the coalition, I'm not saying, hey, I'm with Williman Mortgage and I'm going to go in here and sell you veteran loans.
Ricardo Torres.
No, I'm Ricardo Torres, and I'm an advocate for veterans to talk about XYZ. Because I want to go and talk to you how you can use this benefit, whether you're going to walk in my door, walk in someone else's door, that you're well informed on how that can work for you.
I love it.
It's
the
great,
passion,
man.
dude.
It's great.
Yeah, I love the passion, and I think you're spot on with it, man. it's helping people.
We have to.
And we're like you said earlier in the episode, it's giving back to those who have protected us. So I say kudos to you, my friend.
Thank you, my brother.
Well, dude, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up, man. You got anything?
Oh man,
else
we
you
ready
wanna
to
talk
stop
about?
talking already? Man, I was having so much fun.
At the moment, dude. Well, I gotta save some for the follow-up
I
episode.
know. We got to do the
bro.
follow-up, man. That's going to be a great one.
You do want to do a follow-up, I assume,
Oh,
right?
of course, man. I have no
Come on,
problem with
man.
that.
I'm already offering you repeat guest status.
Can't even give the special sauce all at one time. I'm going to hold back.
Oh, man. We got to sell them the nuggets little by little.
There you go. There you go. Get one each, man.
But, dude, seriously, though, man, I appreciate you taking time out of this crazy schedule to come and sit down in the chair and share your story with me, man.
Man, Bobby, it's always a pleasure, man. Anytime I can sit down and talk, you're doing a great thing. I'm loving your podcast. Keep advocating out there, man, because our industry needs it. There's a lot of misinformation that doesn't get disseminated out. And by having these podcasts and talking to people and getting real, this is getting real. It's not talking about, hey, these are rates, these are programs, these are this. No, it's just talking about people, talking about what we can do and how we can do it.
That's the thing, man. I mean, because you got to I still believe there's a lot of people that should be in mortgage that aren't here yet.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Or there are people that are just on the fence as far as maybe they're in mortgage and they're just not quite getting it done.
Sure.
And to be able to tell the real world stories, because every story has its similarities. Every story has aspects of it that are the same, but everybody's so unique that, maybe it's going to relate to just one person. If one person can go out there and get some more deals just because they finally got over fear, or they heard what you said about building the success team or having the mentors. And going back to the mentors, man, I got to tell you, I'm such a big fan of having mentors. Like, I got 2 business coaches, right?
Yep.
But I'm actually taking a part of the podcast and I'm going to dedicate it strictly to what I'm going to call the mentor series.
Nice.
And so I've already recorded one, and it'll already be out by the time our episode airs. But, I mean, it was with a guy named Joe Medina. So you're going to want to keep an eye on that one, because he was actually,
brother.
Outside of my father, this was the guy who gave me my first job.
Nice.
And, to hear his story, it's just like, oh, my God, it's awesome. But anyway, dude, going back to it, I definitely want to have you back. I think we got a lot more to talk about.
Oh, of course, brother, of course.
But, man, we're at 42 minutes. And
get out of town. We're not at 42 minutes. We just started talking.
Dude, you're about to get to 45, baby.
Man.
It's crazy. That's the thing, man. People don't realize how quickly this flies.
That's true.
So, but with that said, dude, yes, one last thing. I'm sorry. Outside of giving out your cell phone number, how do people find you?
Man, you go anywhere and put Ricardo Manuel Torres, you find me. RicardoManuelTorres.com, rmtorres.com, and you're there.
Is that it?
Facebook,
Yeah.
LinkedIn,
Yeah. Hey, man, maybe
Twitter,
someone's going to want to connect with you.
Snapchat,
That's right.
Instagram,
Mira, están en Snapchat.
WhatsApp.
Oh, my God.
Yes, I did say WhatsApp.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Hey,
Hold
it's
on.
all
Wait,
platforms.
What's the newest one I just got an invite for?
Well, weren't you working on an app called La Clica?
Vero. No, there's a La Clica, yeah. La Raza.
La Raza. Okay, there you
Patos
go.
Locos Forever.
That's right.
There's a new social site called Vero. Have you heard of this?
I have.
Okay. Have you done it yet?
No, it's not. It doesn't have enough bandwidth for me yet, but I am working on a couple things.
I created a profile, but I don't think I've logged in since I created the profile.
Going back to profiles, man. You look for a bald guy, Puerto Rican, South Texas, Ricardo Manuel Torres. You got him.
Eso.
He's there to help out. That's what they're.
Wait, what are the banana? What's the banana dish they do in Puerto Rico?
Plátanos.
Plátanos.
Plátanos maduros. Plátanos fritos.
Oh, there it is. There's my Puerto Rican brother.
So, and just to say it, man, si quieres comprar casa, si estás buscando algo, habla con alguien que puede ayudarte. So, talk to someone that can help you guys. Someone that's not going to sit there and just say, here are the numbers. Be sure to talk to someone that's going to help you.
Yeah, agreed. 100%.
You shouldn't feel like an afterthought. You should get that service. Service is key.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, man. Well, thanks again, brother. And hey, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Big B Mortgage Podcast. If you did, give us a like, give us a share, leave us a comment. But whatever you do, please just stay social, everybody. Until next time, later.